Hello friends, hope this tutorial finds you well. Once again, this is OS e-learning platform bringing you another tutorial. And before we embark on anything, let's thank God for the great gift of life. Jesus, we thank you for loving us. We thank you for blessing us, giving us another chance to share. As OS e-learning platform, we can't move any step unless you move with us. Throughout this tutorial, give us the grace to understand each and every part of this session. Thank you, Jesus. All this we pray through Christ. Amen. So class, today we have the enable assessment paper structure, basically for the A-level, the aligned A-level curriculum. A-level curriculum. So we shall have this discussion dwelling on three disciplines, that is principal mathematics, paper 1 and paper 2. We shall have principal physics, paper 1 theory and paper 2 practical. Then the subsidiary mathematics, that is it is only one paper. So that will be for basically aligned A-level curriculum covering senior 5 and 6. I gave you about paper structure. We agreed that once we happen to receive any change, we shall be updating you. So here we are with the new paper structure. Basically some little adjustments as per Uganda National Examination Board. So we shall start with principal mathematics, that is paper 425/1, paper 1, and then 425/2, paper 2. So they are still principal subjects, and above all, they are all papers applied in real life. They perhaps contain scenarios that are real life in nature. So there is nothing like this paper 1 paper 2 applied and paper 1 principal. They are all principal subjects, and at the same time they are having real life applications. So the paper structure will have two papers, that is mathematics 425/1 and mathematics 425/2. So paper 1, we shall have, or we have, two sections, that is section A and section B, whereby section A is basically compulsory, having one compulsory item to be attempted, and that compulsory item comes from geometry. And to those who missed the tutorial about geometry, please check. Geometry has basically about four topics, main topics, that is vectors, trigonometry, geometry 1, geometry 2. So those topics make up what we call geometry as a construct. So that one compulsory item comes from that element of construct, or that construct. Then section B has two parts, part 1 and part 2. And then part 1 is algebra, purely algebra, where we shall have two, or we basically have two items which are optional, as in you pick only one item from the two items set. So that algebra will perhaps contain at least 2 to 3 topics in an item. So be careful while analyzing. Like we agree that for you to perfectly analyze and pass the scenario, you must first have understood the scenario at hand, and then generate the ideas and connect. So part 2 is from calculus, where we have two items basically, and you have to attempt one item, making it a construct calculus. So calculus has topics to mention but a few. We have differentiation 1, differentiation 2, integration 1, integration 2, the applications, of course, that is under differentiation. We shall look at differential equations and so on. So you have to read those topics and check. In the previous tutorial, we posted all the topics in their respective constructs. So in summary, you realize that section A is compulsory, attempt one item. Section B has two parts, part 1 and part 2, and attempt only one item from each part. And then you will attempt basically 3 items in total, and this takes 3 hours of doing the paper. So what does it mean? Time allocation is paramount here. Each item, let it not go beyond one item, beyond 1 minute, 1 hour. So what you should do is be conscious on your time. So in total, there are 5 items making up this examination paper. So in the 5 items, we are picking only 3 as per the instructions that we shall have in that paper. However, I still put this so that in case of an adjustment, we shall be always updating you. But I'm quite sure that as per now, this is what is on the what is on. So we have to basically follow this for now, not until we get any update. So for paper 2, we have 2 sections, section A and section B, where section A is still compulsory, having 1 compulsory item, and that item is coming from numerical methods. Numerical methods. Which topics do we have in numerical methods? Error analysis, interpolation, trapezium rule, iterative methods or formulas, that is the Newton-Raphson method, the iterations and all that. So those topics, if you exhaust all of them, you stand high chances of excelling in item number 1, which is a compulsory item. So section B has 2 parts still, part 1 and part 2, where part 1 has data and probability, and part 2 has mechanics. This mechanics is dynamics 1 and dynamics 2. So data and probability, we shall have 2 items set, and you attempt only 1 item from data and probability. Still under data and probability, just to remind you that we have good topics there, scatter plots and coloration, data collection and display, data presentation there. We have probability and so on, and probability right from probability theory up to population parameters, meaning you have to equip yourself with a lot of knowledge about probability and the statistics. So then part 2, we shall have mechanics, and mechanics, these are 2 items, and this will be dynamics 1 and dynamics 2, and then 2 items will be giving us instruction of picking only 1 item to make up that construct. And in summary, we see that section A is basically compulsory with 1 item coming from numerical analysis or numerical methods. Then section B has 2 parts, part 1 and part 2, and we are attempting only 1 item from each, making a total of 3 items in the whole paper, and these items are to be done within the time of 3 hours. Still, time allocation is paramount here, so each item should not go beyond 1 good hour. 1 good hour. So let's plan well, work smart, and achieve excellence. So to summarize this, the clear picture is that you have to cover all the topics in time. Do consultations time to time. You have to practice several items. And if you're missing the item bank, just tap on me via those contacts. You will get to these item banks. They have solutions. They have final responses. So you have to dive into the scenarios and see whether you are at the same page with the next. The next is, let's look at principle. Let's look at the next one. So this is subsidiary mathematics, a paper that is done by those who are not doing subsidiary computer at A level, that is senior 5, senior 6. So whoever is not doing subsidiary computer, then you are doing subsidiary mathematics. Econ students doing biology, and they're not doing computer, then they're not doing mathematics. So all those students, here we are. So our paper structure is 475/1. There is an S they put here to mean subsidiary subject. And this is a paper that will that's made up of 2 sections, that's section A and section B, where section A is compulsory, having 2 compulsory items, and these compulsory items are coming from geometry and calculus. They are very compulsory. And then these 2 items, you have to attempt both of them, making 2 items at first. So what does it mean? Geometry, like I repeat, geometry, differentiation, integration, those applications, differential equations, that is under calculus. Then differential equations, like I said, differential equations under calculus. Then geometry, we shall have, well, basically we have vectors, trigonometry, and what? Geometry 1, coordinate geometry 1, and all that. So what does it mean? What does it mean? You realize that section B will have part 1 and part 2. And then part 1 has 2 items from algebra. And then part 2 has 2 items from data and probability. But in all, you have to attempt one item from each part. So what does it mean in total? You realize that section A is compulsory with the 2 items. Section B has 2 parts, 1 and 2. You attempt 1 item from each part, making a total of 4 items in total. And that is to be done within a period of 2 hours, 30 minutes. So an item should not go beyond 40 minutes within this, and making up a total of 6 items in an examination paper, with 4 items must be done within a period of 2 hours and 30 minutes. What does it mean? Practice, focus, you succeed. Okay. So physics, principal physics, paper 510/1 is a theory paper, and then paper 510/2 is a practical paper, though it goes up to paper 3 depending on the number of students in the school. For example, if a school has more than 100 students, so those candidates have to enroll for paper 3. They can't all fit in paper 2. Otherwise, paper 1 is compulsory no matter the number of students. So let's look at the paper structure basically. So the paper structure is here. Paper 510/1, which is the theoretical paper, is made up of 2 sections, section A and section B, where section A is made up of 2 items originating from the construct force and motion, and then particles. So anything to do with mechanics, anything to do with modern physics, those 2 items will appear, and you will have to attempt both of them, so they are compulsory. So from today onwards, as we are continuing with our physics, please just keep in your mind, and if you've been knowing this, just know that we have 2 compulsory constructs, that is force and motion, and then particles. What does it mean? We need to cover this within the shortest time possible. If it is possible by senior 6 term 1, you must be done with anything to do with force and motion, and also particle. So if you're done with this, you are safe. Any that a compulsory question does not dictate, does not predict, you can't predict where it comes from, basically in terms of the particular topics. Remember, under mechanics alone, we have over 10 topics. Then particles, we have about 3 topics. So this is making about 16 topics. So you realize that you have to cover all this within the shortest time possible. And then part 2 and part 1, that is for section B, we shall have 2 items from energy, and energy is made up of very many topics. Anything to do with energy. Let's talk about light. Let's talk about heat. Let us talk about waves, sound waves. Let's talk about simple harmonic motion. Let's talk about all that is making up part 1, and we shall attempt only 1 item from the 2 items. Then part 2 is made up of 2 items as well, which are coming from charge and fields, and we are talking about capacitors, we are talking about electromagnetism, current, electricity, we are talking about electrostatics, we are talking about AC circuits. So you realize that the 2 items, you have to pick only 1 item, and making a total of how many? 4 items from the total 6 examination items. All this is to be done in how many hours? 3 hours. I repeat, time management is a key factor here. Let an item not take you about 40 minutes when you're still on it. The moment you waste a lot of time, you realize when you have 5 minutes to go. So what does it mean in summary? Section A is compulsory with the 2 items from force and motion and on particles. Then section B has 2 parts, part 1 and part 2, where part 1 we agreed is from energy, then part 2 is from charge and fields. So these 2 items, you will have to pick only 1 item from each part, and that will make a total of 4 items in 3 hours. Focus, practice, succeed. Practical paper 510/2, which is the practical paper. It can also go to paper 3, depending on the number. I repeat that one. So what are we doing here? We are attempting two compulsory items, and these two items can originate from any two constructs. I remember telling you that we have basically 4 constructs, if I may repeat myself: energy, force and motion, particles, and then charge and fields. Now what does it mean? If two items can appear in any two constructs, it means that on a particular day, energy and force and motion can make up a standard paper, meaning an experiment to determine refractive index plus an experiment to determine acceleration due to gravity can make up a complete paper. On a particular day, an experiment to determine the focal length of a convex mirror, focal length of a convex lens, can come along with an experiment to determine the spring constant, and so on. Some in the moment, the force constant of a meter rule. So those two items can appear. At the same time, you can have particles and motion versus charges and fields on a complete paper, where you are determining the mass of a ruler of constant, spring constant, versus finding internal resistance and the electromotive force of a dry cell using a potentiometer or a meter bridge. So these two items can appear at the same time. Energy can appear with the charge and field. So you can't tell. You only need to do what? Practice as many as possible. And just in case you need the practical book, please press these numbers, dial these numbers, and reach me. In summary, what are we saying? There's no section in this paper. They are basically two compulsory items, attempting only 2 items from the following constructs, which is energy, force. Any of the two, please. Any of the two. That's energy, force, and motion. That is a construct, a pair making up a state. You can have force and particles. You can have force and charges. Though when it comes to particles here, experiments are quite hectic a bit. You see, an experiment in modern physics, I feel we need to think outside the box. But what is obvious is energy, force, and motion, and then charge and fields. Just in case of anything here, we shall be sharing soon. Let's be prepared. Let's be confident and do your best in an example. Basically, for 2 hours, 2 items in 3 hours. So in total, we have 2 examination items, which are 2 items to be done in 3 hours. Otherwise, thank you so much. I repeat myself that the assessment at A level bit changed, but not thoroughly. We have just aligned the curriculum A level, whereby yes, we are using the knowledge that we have in the different books, but again it's a bit of competency. We are assessing not only what you remember, but we are assessing actually what you know, how you can apply what you know. You might know the definition of something, you might know how to calculate something, but how are you applying that knowledge to solve a real life problem? So that is why in the next session I will share with you the new adjustments, the command language we have, the higher order thinking skills versus the higher command language. We will see questions to do with the assess, justify, analyze. What does it mean? So in the next video, if you want to know that, please follow, subscribe, and share. Other than that, if you have any question, please share in the comment section. We'll be there waiting for your comments. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening and always being part of OS e-learning platform. And I pray that if you found this video helpful, please share, comment, like, and subscribe to OS e-learning platform. I wish you all the best. Bye bye.